Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to Copper Academy. This is Mandar Marathe, and today I am going to talk to you about or answer your question: should I invest in cryptocurrencies? Right? So, first and foremost, what are cryptocurrencies? Right? If you don't get the basics of cryptocurrencies, maybe you should not even be asking the question, should you invest in cryptocurrencies? Right? So cryptocurrency is nothing but a digital currency that is used for paying for different goods and services online. Right? Cryptocurrencies are not that recent. Maybe recently you have been hearing a lot about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, and different cryptocurrencies, but they have been there ever since 2009 2010, right? The first cryptocurrency being Bitcoin, which was again uh, created by this mythical guy, or we don't know the real identity of the person, but it is Satoshi Nakamoto who created Bitcoin and released the white paper for Bitcoin, right? So cryptocurrencies are used mainly, and they have widespread applications now, uh, from distributed finance to insurance to making cross-border payments, right? So there are a lot of these applications of digital currencies, and we'll try to understand them also. Like I said, there are so many cryptocurrencies that are available today, more than 4,000 different cryptocurrencies, and there are close to 180 fiat currencies. What is a fiat currency? A fiat currency is a currency that is approved or regulated by the government, right? So each government, like the rupee or the dollar or the yen, it's a fiat currency. And there are these cryptocurrencies which are unregulated, which means they are not accepted or approved by any government or any country's government, right? So any one of us, it could be you, it could be me, we could launch our own cryptocurrency if we wanted to launch one, right? uh, how do these cryptocurrencies work? They work on the underlying principle of blockchain. What is a blockchain? Well, a blockchain is a continuous sequence of blocks or a chain of blocks. It is a format or a type of a database, or how information is stored in a database. Now, for a blockchain network, you need multiple nodes or different computers which are interconnected to access the blockchain, to store information on the blockchain, and also to retrieve information on the blockchain. When you send, let's say, 1 Bitcoin from someone in the United States sends a Bitcoin to me here in India, right? For that transaction to happen, usually that transaction has to be written on a blockchain, and it has to be verified by more than 5 or 6 maybe nodes or different computers that are connected to the same blockchain. So each of the coins, whether it is Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., or Binance, they have their own blockchain, and there are financial as well as non-financial institutions that are now developing apps, or decentralized apps, or dApps as you call it, and smart contracts, which is nothing but procedures or software code that execute by itself if a condition happens to be true, right? So you have smart contracts and dApps that are being developed on blockchain and use cryptocurrency as one of the methods of transaction for executing these contracts. How do you go about buying cryptocurrency, right? Now you must have bought stocks, right? How did you go about buying stocks? You actually created a demat account on one of the brokers, whether it's, let's say, Zerodha or Motilal Oswal or Upstocks, right? And then you put in some money, you connected your bank account to the demat account, you deposited some money from the bank account to the demat account, right? And then you went ahead and purchased the stocks that you wanted to buy. You searched for the stock name or the ticker symbol, and then you went and purchased or you sold the stocks that you already have. Similarly, very similarly, cryptocurrency is also sold and bought and sent and received on an exchange, right? So in India, you have WazirX, which is, I would say, one of the most widely used cryptocurrency exchange, and Indians account to 10% of the global cryptocurrency transactions, right? So you can set up an account on WazirX, or you can set up an account on CoinSwitch Kuber, which was recently advertised, right? So any of these exchanges, you can set up an account and quickly go ahead and deposit some rupees and then purchase your cryptocurrency, right? Coming to the question that you need an answer for is, should I invest in cryptocurrencies, right? Should you actually go ahead and buy cryptocurrencies? So it's not just individuals, but it's also governments and large financial institutes and large corporations who are asking these questions today, right? And so should you. You should ask yourself these three questions before you take the plunge, before you actually set up an account on an exchange or go ahead and buy some cryptocurrency. First is, do you understand it, right? It's very important that you develop a solid understanding of what cryptocurrency is before you actually go ahead and buy some cryptocurrency, right? So for the past few months, I have been spending a lot of time to understand the underlying architecture of Bitcoin, what NFTs are, what are gas fees, what are decentralized apps, what is DeFi, right? So you need to understand all these different terms. You need to understand the underlying principle of demand and supply when it comes to cryptocurrencies before you take the plunge. For example, there are going to be only 21 million Bitcoins which will be available ever, which means the supply is going to be limited. So if people start liking or start taking a liking towards Bitcoin, obviously the demand is going to go up, right? So if demand goes up, supply is limited, it means that the price of the Bitcoin is going to skyrocket, right? So that's the underlying basic principle of demand and supply on which most of these cryptocurrencies work. Second, does investing in cryptocurrency align with your overall investment strategy, right? What we recommend at Copper and what I also personally recommend is that you should follow the 20-30-50 rule, which means 30% of your monthly income should go towards your investments, minimum of 30%, right? And 50% could be towards your monthly expenses, 20% could be towards some miscellaneous expenses, right? From the 30%, let's say you are earning 10,000 rupees, or let's say you're earning 20,000 rupees per month. So 30% of that, which is 6,000 rupees, at least 6,000 you should invest somewhere. Now that 6,000, let's say, is 100% of your investments, right? So you should, let's say, put in 5% or maybe at the max 10% of your money into cryptocurrency. So I'd recommend not more than 500-600 rupees per month if you're earning a salary of 20,000, right? Which it's a very small amount, right? It's a good enough amount to test the waters and to understand how these markets work and what are cryptocurrencies, right? So you can always buy fraction of the coins also. You don't have to buy like one Bitcoin which is worth more than 40 lakh rupees, right? You don't need all that entire corpus to buy or trade cryptocurrency. You can start with a small amount, right? So I'd recommend that close to 5 to 10% of your monthly investments you can invest towards this high risk option or high risk investment strategy. Again, depends on where you are in life, right? And how much money you have. If you don't have a lot of wealth, then I'd suggest you stay away from crypto and first build your wealth, first build some corpus. But if you have a lot of wealth, if you have a lot of disposable income, right, whatever your age may be, it would be a great idea to align your investment strategy and include cryptocurrency as one part or a small component of your overall strategy. The third question that I want you to ask yourself is, do I know how to buy it cost effectively? Right? So what drives the demand and supply of these currencies, and how can you buy them effectively? Obviously, you need access to an exchange. You maybe need an online wallet to store the purchases that you've made, or if you want to secure your cryptocurrencies, you need a hardware wallet, also known as a cold storage, right? So you might need cold storage or online wallets to store your cryptocurrency, right? And then you need to understand when you want to buy or when you want to sell, right? Most of these currencies are driven by some sort of influential people in the market, right? So if Elon Musk puts out a tweet, and he put out a tweet for, just said Doge, right? And the price for Dogecoin kind of increased because he was bullish on that. Then Tesla, his company, they bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they allowed their customers to actually buy a Tesla car using Bitcoin, right? But very recently they've pulled back that decision. So again, because of these institutional choices or choices made by influencers, the price of a particular currency can fluctuate and go up and down on the same day, right? So like on one day, Doge's price tanked down to 30% of the value when Vitalik Buterin, who's the founder of Ethereum, he actually donated close to 1 billion Doge coins to the COVID relief in India, right? So the price of Doge coins collapsed by 30%. Similarly, price of Bitcoin collapsed by 10% or more, 20% once, because they were mined in China, right? So there was a electricity or power failure in China, and because of that, in a particular region, there was no mining done for Bitcoins, and that for that reason the price of Bitcoins kind of fell, right? So don't think of this as intraday trading, or thinking of this as very long-term trading, right? Stay abreast with the latest news, see what's happening. If some currency falls, then step in and buy that currency. If the currency increases, if you get, let's say, 15-20% returns, then you should exit, right? And take it as a very simple game of just following the news, seeing what's dropped, buying that currency. If it increases, then selling it off, right? So again, you might lose the entire amount that you have if a currency's value goes to zero, right? So be very careful. So is cryptocurrency a good investment, right? This guy, Vignesh Sundaresan, right? He bought a digital art called from Beeple, who's the art creator, right? For close to $69 million. That was the highest value of an NFT, or a non-fungible token, that was sold. Vignesh is a crypto billionaire. He lives in Singapore, and this was a video that actually Nas Daily did on this billionaire from South India, right? So obviously he had a lot of crypto, right? He had one of his own earlier exchanges called Crypto E, which got shut down, right? So he has a lot of crypto money. He was able to buy this digital art for $69 million. You and me, maybe not, right? So we don't have that much cryptocurrency. So we need to think, what are the pros and cons of purchasing crypto? The first is that it's a digital native currency. I think it's at the same inflection point as the internet was in the late 90s, right? When people just started to adopt the internet, right? We are at that very juncture when it comes to cryptocurrencies. So it makes it easier to purchase digital goods and services online. Second, it has some good applications such as decentralized finance, NFTs, cross-border payments, right? Real-time IoT applications, insurance, storage of medical data on blockchain, right? Monitoring global supply chain and logistics. So there are a lot of these applications which are inherent to the structure or architecture of how blockchain operates. And third is it has some backing from institutional investors, mainly companies in the United States and Western economies like Tesla, Square, Visa. They are investing in crypto projects, right? Which means they are actually buying crypto, and they are also enabling their customers to buy their products and services through cryptocurrency. And fourth is, I feel that it's a disruptive technology. Now, how it is being used, it's at a very nascent stage, right? But it's disruptive. So you can build DApps or decentralized apps, smart contracts, and these technologies could disrupt how real estate is bought and sold. It could disrupt the banking industry. It could disrupt insurance and other industries. And for that very reason, maybe the governments are not supporting this disruptive technology as of now, right? So, but it has, I would say, a very promising future. And just on the basis of that, that's one of the reasons you might want to go ahead and buy cryptos. Now, these are some of the projects that were most recently launched and have seen wide acceptance. VeeFriends was launched by Gary Vee. That is his NFT and social tokens project, and he started selling access as well as passes for his VeeCon, which he'll be launching next year through VeeFriends.com. He created close to, I think, 268 characters, and there are close to 10,000 different tokens which are available. You can go to VeeFriends.com, participate in the auction. You can use ETH to actually buy some of his NFT or social tokens which are available there, right? Then there was NBA Top Shot, which was one of the first projects that was launched in the crypto or NFT space or digital currency space. Created a lot of waves. There are CryptoKitties, there are Crypto Punks, right? So a lot of these online projects are available where you can invest some of your money. Now, why you should stay away from crypto, right? I've spoken about why you should invest, why you should stay away, right? Highly volatile. Like I said, the prices fluctuate basis of some news that comes out in the market or some sort of community behavior, right? Works very much on demand and supply, and it's, I would say, very close to gambling. It's very close to making a guess as to whether the prices would plunge or increase or stay sideways. You don't know. There is no fundamental research, there is no technical research that you can do to kind of figure out what the price of a particular currency would be. It's totally driven by the community, right? Similarly, one more example was of Dogecoin, which is driven totally by the community. Second is it's relatively immature, right? Cryptocurrency started close to 2010, which means they've been there only for the past 10 years. And stock exchanges, BSE has a long history. NSE is a relatively new stock exchange, right? But people have been trading stocks, people have been buying mutual funds, people have been buying gold, right, since ages. And cryptocurrencies, I would say, is like digital gold, and it's a new asset class. It's a very nascent stage in terms of maturity or adoption in the market. Third is it's unregulated, right? There is no government backing whatsoever as of now, right? Maybe governments perceive it as a threat, right, to establishments, to existing banking, financial industry, insurance industries, right? But highly unregulated as of now. You might not know that tomorrow there might be a rule that comes out which says that India bans cryptocurrencies. So now none of us would be able to actually trade, right? So you'll need an account maybe on an international exchange. right? Now, should I invest in cryptocurrencies? Well, you have to decide. I'm not going to make that decision for you, friend. I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't think any financial advisor will be able to tell you, right, whether you should buy cryptocurrency or not. So I'll leave that up to you to decide. All I can say is, have fun trading cryptocurrency. Put in a small amount, test the waters, right, and see where this world takes you. That's it for now. Thank you so much, and keep watching Copper's YouTube channel for more such videos. Have a good day.